A weatherman reports of an upcoming tropical storm they have called Hazel, warning all who are located from Gulfport to New Orleans as are seen preparing for the potential hurricane. Arriving in New Orleans for the first time, Bray Johnson is checking in for his hotel reservation. An engineering professor who has an envelope to deliver to a manager at a seafood restaurant, Miranda Wells. Popping by her home, he meets her son, Greg, who tells the professor his mother is currently at work. On her way home after picking up her other two children from school, the two cross paths as Wells accidentally drives into the back of Johnson's truck whilst bickering with her oldest daughter, Missy. Causing her bumper to break off, Johnson offers to fix the car. Following Wells back to her place, it wasn't until seeing where she lived that the lady who had rear-ended him was the same person who he had been looking for earlier. Getting assistance from her only son, the storm begins with rain pouring down heavily. Miranda invites the handyman into her home, having a beer ready for him. After sharing a meal ordered in by Wells' boyfriend, Tucker Middendorf, Johnson heads back to the hotel without being given the chance to tell Wells of the envelope. So rather than handing it over to her himself, he places it inside of the family's mailbox, hoping for them to find it the next day. During the night, Wells wakes up to a loud smashing sound. Going to investigate, she finds a tree has broken in through the roof. Gathering her kids, they all go and hide out in the bathroom as they wait for the storm to be over. Returning the next day to check in on the family, the mailbox is found to be missing. Seeing the mess of the house, Johnson offers again to help the family out by fixing the roof. This of which, he is hired, only charging the resident $500 for what would have been $10,000. Whilst looking into what needs to be done, the kids' Nana arrives as Johnson lets them know he must make a trip to the lumberyard where he will begin gathering the materials. Not wanting the kids to be living in a mess, Bobby Wells allows the family of 4 to live with her whilst the house gets patched up. About to head off, Miranda meets with the handyman to exchange numbers for contact after sharing her gratitude. Wanting to head over to check on the restaurant and her boyfriend, Johnson makes a start on the house. Seeing a picture of the family with their father and husband, a memory of Johnson's unfolds, revealing that he had previously met the deceased man, Matt Wells, at an engineering convention. Interrupting his train of thought, a phone call comes in asking if he had done what he was meant to yet. Admitting that he hadn't, he even claims to not understand the reasoning as to why. Curious of the handyman, Tucker arrives at the home and begins questioning the strange man standing on his girlfriend's roof. Done for the day, Johnson calls Miranda up to update her on the house. With positive news, Miranda is pleased, although she continues to stress, believing she will have to sell the house due to financial struggles. Doing his best to reassure her, it works. With the town having no power, Miranda arranges to pack up all the frozen foods from work, ready to donate it all to a food bank, saving it from going to waste. Reaching the 3rd day, a text is received notifying the family that the roof has been fixed. Arriving home to see the result, the family are grateful for Johnson's hard work. And as he leaves, Miranda hands over a check as she shares her confusion with him helping them out. But before being able to finish their conversation, Tucker is on the phone inviting the family to head over for the restaurant's reopening. Arranging one last meet for Johnson to free up Miranda's vehicle on the following day, that night the family get themselves to the reopening where, by surprise, Miranda is proposed to. Saying yes, her children aren't too pleased. Spending the remaining of the night with her now fiancé, Tucker surprises Miranda with a brand new car. Hopping straight in, Miranda makes it priority to gather what is needed for Missy's 16th birthday party. Annoyed about the proposal, Greg is seen storming out of the shed and throws a box into the bin aggressively, where he then heads over to sit at the pier. Witnessing this whilst working on freeing the car, Johnson follows Greg to check up on the kid. Wanting to cheer the boy up, Johnson asks about the item in the box, which he is then shown. Revealing it to be an automatic chicken feeding invention that he had made for a science project, Greg goes on to mention the idea that his mother is with Tucker mainly because of them not having much money. But with the invention, he believed they could sell the product, earning them enough money where his mother could be happier not having to get married. Helping to fix the invention, Johnson goes back to his job where Missy then drops by, bringing the handyman a fresh drink. Sharing her worries of no one turning up to her party the next day, with the popular girl at school hosting a party that same day, Johnson helps her realize the good time she could have, focusing more on the real friends she has and a good time she could have. Mid-conversation, Miranda shows up in her new car. Showing to be happier with the realization, Missy requests for them to spend the party making taffy, followed by asking for Johnson to be at the party before heading back inside. Trying again to bring up the business he has with her, Miranda interrupts him, telling him to come along to the party. Agreeing to come, they part ways. Back with Tucker, Miranda is telling her fiancé of the plans for the party. Asking about their handyman, Tucker is concerned when finding out about him being invited to the party, expecting him to make a move on Miranda. Shutting him down, Miranda calls Bray Johnson a family friend and tells Tucker to get over the fact that he would be attending the birthday party. Resting at the hotel, Johnson is stuck in another memory. Here, we find that Johnson was in a plane crash. Not getting to see much more, the lady who had checked Johnson in on his first day being there had brought over a parcel with some documents for him. With the party starting at 2, Missy begins to stress over the event not being set up yet as people begin to arrive. As everyone is in the backyard, chatting away, Bobby comes out asking to talk to her daughter-in-law privately. Researching the handyman, Miranda is shown an article reading one of Matthew's projects. Believing Johnson is the man who caused Matt's death and had stolen his invention idea, Miranda tries to shut the idea down, not wanting to believe this, but still goes to find and question Bray. Being upfront, she asks if Bray had known of her late husband. Being honest, he is slapped in the face and shouted at for lying to her and stealing her a dead man's idea. Denying that he had claimed Matt's idea as his own, Johnson starts to tell Miranda of where the two had met, the invention they had come up with together and how. Asking where he was when Matthew had passed away, we learn he was sitting right next to him on the plane as the disaster had happened. Calling Johnson the man who survived. Receiving the patent for the project in the previous month, he tells Miranda of the envelope he had tried to deliver but had been washed away by the storm. Not letting him finish, Miranda demands for Bray to leave. Checking out from the hotel, Johnson makes a final request to the reception lady, Sloane, for a messenger to send the envelope over to the Wells residence. Living only 5 minutes away from the address, Sloane decides to drop the envelope off herself. Reading the documents, a check for $106,000 is found made from the invention of Matt Wells, which was given to his family. Sat with her 3 kids, they all begin discussing the money and their futures. Treating her children out to dinner, the family stop on their way home to find their old mailbox in a pond. Opening it up, they find the original envelope that Johnson had intended to deliver on day 1. That night, Missy and Miranda begin discussing their ex-handyman. Missy then brings up the relationship between her mother and Johnson, suggesting that there could be something more between them. Wanting to figure out what it is she wants, Miranda visits Tuck at work and cancels the wedding. Returning both the ring and car keys, Tucker is respectful in letting her go as both a partner and employee. Telling Bobby of this and admitting that she doesn't love Tucker, they arrange for Bobby to babysit her grandkids whilst Miranda looks into going back to school to continue her education in nursing. On her travels, Miranda makes a stop by Johnson's where she finds his sister, Jennifer, answering the door, letting her know he is currently out of town looking for Miranda herself. And back at the house, we find Bray knocking on the family's door. On the phone to each other as they drive towards one another, they arrange to meet in the middle where they can grab a coffee and waffle. As for when they do meet, a kiss is shared. Fast forward to Christmas. The whole family is spending the day at Johnson's as they decorate the tree right before Johnson surprises Bessie with the one thing she had continued to ask for, a horse. Thanks for watching. Check out this movie here. And don't forget to subscribe and to turn on the notification bell.